Working the night shift is unlike any other job. The world becomes quieter, slower, and heavier. Time feels different after midnight, melting into long stretches of silence where every echo seems louder than it should be. People who work while the rest of the world sleeps often say that darkness has its own presence, its own rules, and sometimes, its own witnesses. These are true stories from night shift workers who experienced moments that pushed them far beyond fear, encounters that changed how they see the world forever. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a security guard in the desert outskirts of Arizona. He worked alone in a massive storage facility that stretched across several acres, rows of metallic units forming a cold labyrinth. At night the corridors were lit by overhead lights that buzzed and flickered, creating a constant sense of unease. One shift, around 2:40 a.m., he noticed a unit door slightly ajar. That was unusual, every door was normally locked tight. He approached cautiously, ready to confront a trespasser. But once he gently pushed the door open, the lights inside flicked on by themselves. The air rushing out felt icy, much colder than the rest of the facility. His flashlight revealed something impossible: the storage unit was completely empty, except for a small wooden rocking chair placed in the center. And it was moving. Slowly. Forward, and back. As though someone had just been sitting in it. The guard whispered, "Hello," but his voice sounded swallowed by the cold air. When he stepped back, the chair stopped instantly, frozen in place like a waiting predator. The next morning he checked the logs, the unit hadn't been rented or opened in 6 years. A nurse in Ohio shared a story she had tried to forget. She worked nights on a rehabilitation floor, usually calm and quiet. Around 3 a.m. she heard slow, dragging footsteps echoing down the hall. Assuming it was a confused elderly patient, she walked through the corridor checking each room. Everyone was asleep. The footsteps grew louder, turning the corner toward her. She froze as a dark shape appeared at the far end of the hallway. It looked like a man, but almost two-dimensional, tall, thin, and lacking any features. No eyes. No mouth. Just a shadow-like figure standing still in the dim light. She blinked once and the figure suddenly shifted, as if it slid several feet forward without walking. Her breath caught in her throat. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, it dissolved into the darkness. Shaking, she told an older nurse the next morning. The woman simply nodded and said, "He's harmless. He's been here longer than any of us." A night shift gas station clerk in rural Texas shared an experience that nearly made him quit. His station sat beside a long, empty highway, with only the occasional truck rolling by. Around 1:30 a.m. he stepped outside to smoke. The sky was pitch black, no moon, just a thin line of orange glowing from the store's sign. He noticed movement on the far side of the parking lot, a tall, pale figure standing perfectly still. At first he thought it was a customer, but something felt wrong. The figure didn't move at all. Not even a sway. Not even a breath. He called out, "We're closed outside, you okay?" No response. He took one step forward, and instantly the figure disappeared, no running, no walking, just gone. The next night, at almost the exact same time, the motion sensor alarm in the parking lot went off. He checked the camera footage. For 3 full seconds, there was a humanoid shape standing by the pumps. It had no face. A truck driver in Montana described a terrifying encounter that still keeps him awake. Driving through a remote stretch of icy highway, he pulled over to rest at an empty truck stop. Around 1 a.m. he woke to slow tapping on his window, 3 long knocks. He assumed it was another driver. But the parking lot was completely empty. He reached for his flashlight and stepped outside. The cold air hit him like knives. That's when he noticed the ground near his truck, bare footprints in the frost, small and delicate, like those of a child. But they led nowhere. Not toward the road, not toward the building. Just a trail that ended in the middle of the frozen pavement, as if someone had vanished into thin air. When he returned to the cabin, he caught something in the corner of his eye. His mirror reflected the faint outline of a small figure standing behind the truck. But when he turned around, nothing was there. One of the most disturbing stories comes from a night cleaner at an old movie theater. He worked alone, long after the last screening ended. One night he entered Theater 3, ready to sweep up popcorn and cups, but stopped immediately. In the back row, a woman was sitting alone, her silhouette faint in the dim lights. He apologized and told her the theater was closed. She didn't respond. He stepped closer, noticing her head tilted at an unnatural angle, as if listening to a sound only she could hear. When he was just 3 rows away, the theater lights flickered, just for a second. When they came back on, the woman was gone. No footsteps. No door opening. Just empty seats. He quit 2 weeks later after the same silhouette appeared again in Theater 5. Another incident came from a North Carolina guard patrolling an abandoned office building. He often heard laughter, soft, childlike laughter, coming from the elevator shaft at exactly 3:13 a.m. The elevators hadn't worked in over 8 years. One night he decided to confront the source. When he opened the shaft door, a rush of warm air swept past him, carrying a faint whisper. The laughter stopped. But the next shift, he found tiny handprints in the dust on the metal floor inside the shaft, as if a child had been sitting there waiting. Perhaps the most unsettling story comes from a factory worker in Michigan. The warehouse was enormous, filled with machines that stood silent at night. Around 4 a.m. he heard the heavy clank of metal from the far corner. Thinking someone had broken in, he walked toward the sound. The deeper he went into the warehouse, the colder the air became, unnaturally cold. Then he saw it, a tall figure crouched between the machines, its limbs too long, its posture twisted. When his flashlight hit it, the figure slowly turned its head, not its body, just its head, revealing empty eye sockets. It let out a low, rasping breath and disappeared between the machines with unnatural speed. All of these stories come from people who swear they saw what they saw. People who weren't looking for ghosts, who didn't believe in anything supernatural, until the night forced them to. The truth is, after midnight, when the world grows silent and the shadows stretch across empty hallways, reality feels thinner. And those who work in the dark often witness things the daylight hides.